Welcome to Detective Diaries, brought to you by Private Detectives Answers Investigation. If you're captivated by the art of deduction, the thrill of solving the unsolvable, or the enigmatic world of private investigation, you have just found your new favourite podcast. Detective Diaries are where secrets are unravelled and the truth is always a clue away. Presented by Private Detective Answers Investigation. Each episode contains offbeat conversations about the real people involved in investigation.
Every call, every text, every tap leaves a trace. In this episode of Detective Diaries, we're unlocking the secrets of mobile forensics with a private detective who knows how to follow the digital footprint. From hidden files to deleted messages, discover how smartphones are rewriting the rules of investigation. Joining me today is Harry Watts, a private detective with years of experience uncovering digital evidence and piecing together stories hidden in your devices. Harry, welcome. It's great to have you.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
Can I just ask you first, what does the term mobile forensics mean to you and your work?
Sure. So mobile forensics essentially is where we take a mobile phone, a telephone device, whether it be an Apple iPhone, a Samsung Galaxy, Google Pixel, all of the above, whatever it may be. We conduct extraction, retrieval, and general forensics to essentially gain an insight into a person's digital footprint. We can also obtain content such as call logs, messages, GPS trails, and sometimes even deleted content as well.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. So when you first get hold of a device, say if it's locked or the screen's cracked, what actually happens next before you even start looking at what's on it?
Sure, I mean, it's a good point. So whenever we first get a device, it's essentially labelled, categorised and catalogued appropriately, because there's things like chain of custody forms. So whenever a client, whether it be a private client or a legal client comes in, we'll have these chain of custody forms signed off, because of course the evidence may go on to be used in a legal setting. So having that correct procedure in place is very important. The work is then completed in a technical environment, so the device itself won't actually be handled in the office. It will go straight into a Faraday bag or an RF shielded device. Essentially, these are shielded containers where, like a Faraday bag, as I say, it keeps the device secure and contained, and basically no one from the outside can interfere with it, or no signals from the inside can get out of the bag as well. So we have all of those aspects of locking it down. So once it's in the technical environment, you sort of mentioned about whether the screen is sort of broken and so forth. There may be a little bit of tinkering that we have to do to sort of get the device into a workable format. We may need to strip away some of the securities in what we would call a rooted examination. So essentially you're putting the item into administrator mode, so you have all the privileges rather than being restricted. So we get it into environment, and we then understand what the issue is, and then we can sort of tinker, as I say, with what we can do with it.
Yeah. So what kinds of information can you recover from a phone that most people would never expect? You know, something that goes way beyond text and photos.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most common thing. People think it's going to be about text messages, WhatsApp, and the rest of it. I mean, there's quite an interesting piece of information that you can get from passive data. And what I mean by passive data is things like predictive text. So when you get predictive text coming in, what you can actually see is perhaps someone's messages where there's commonality in the names they may use, or the phrases that have been frequently typed, and it helps us look at the data in a much more holistic way, as context, even in the sort of smallest bite-sized chunks, can actually be quite helpful and ultimately important to the evidence trail you're sort of trying to build from the device. I would also say hidden application data as well is quite interesting. It shows the application's activities logs. So for example, if you want to look at specifically like a banking app or a dating app, you can find out when it was opened, and does that coincide with another piece of data, like a particular message that was sent or received. So all of these pieces of data build a larger picture for us and give us basically a timeline of the events as well.
So what about this deleted content then? I'm sure we all think when we hit delete on a message, it means it's gone, but is that really true?
Well, it's a good point, because unfortunately, no, it's not really, to be honest. It can be the fun aspect of forensics, actually, but also a frustrating element, which I'll sort of drop in on shortly. But essentially, when a message is deleted, because storage space on a phone is very different from a computer. I mean, the first iPhone only came with 4 gigs of data, for example, in terms of storage. Obviously now it's got 128 gigs and terabytes and this, that and the other. But essentially when something's deleted, the space is marked as available, but not often overwritten like it would be different on a computer. So essentially you can think of it like erasing something written in pencil. It looks like it's gone, but obviously if you look a bit closer, the indentation is still there. And so with the right tools, we can read it again. We can extract those fragments and try and reconstruct the original message or parts of it, because of course there is aspects of corrupted data as well. So it's kind of the unallocated space is the equivalent of a digital phone's attic, if you will. It can recover remnants of those deleted texts. I did say about frustrations, so obviously there is issues that come with this. So corrupted data is the main one I would say here. If data has been corrupted, it potentially has been overwritten, and that reconstruction process ultimately becomes a bit of a problem. If it's been sort of broken in that storage process, we can reconstruct it, but contents might be a bit scrambled. You know, you could take an example of an image. What this can mean is that the image opens as a file, and what you'll see on screen actually looks like a random selection of colors, blocks, or even symbols that can resemble hieroglyphics. So essentially the file structure exists, but the actual information to tell the device how to display the image correctly is incomplete or damaged. So forensic tools, for the best part, we can try and repair these files, but essentially you can tell it's a photo, but you might not be able to see what it actually is, or maybe who took it, to get the sort of full clarity, if you will.
Yeah.
Get involved. Detective Diaries is interactive, which involves you, the listener. Do you have a case you'd like discussed? A burning question about investigative life? Send an email to podcast@private-detectives.co.uk or reach out via social media. You may hear your story featured in an upcoming episode. Don't forget to leave your contact details.
So with encryption and privacy-focused apps like Signal and Telegram, are investigators losing the battle to get evidence? Or are there any new tools or techniques to keep up with these challenges?
So encryption is one of these things, right? It's definitely changed the game for mobile forensics. I mean, apps like Signal, WhatsApp and Telegram, they use this end-to-end encryption, which means the messages are scrambled on the sender's device and only unscrambled on the recipient's device. So essentially, even if a phone is seized, the messages can't be read without the correct decryption keys. It's something that we've been sort of keeping up with, and encryption is very secure. This kind of encryption, whether it's 258 or whatever it may be, it's going to be secure. It's going to take a supercomputer hours to break into it. So of course that prevents us from doing our jobs and creates a bit of difficulty. So you might think, well, an investigator is going to be powerless. Well, actually we can get hold of those decryption keys where we can. So the phone itself will store these decryption keys as well as the databases. So as long as we can put those two together, we can get full access. When we can't, you might actually be able to get information such as metadata. So the metadata tells you who communicated with whom and sort of when, how often, and sometimes even from what location. So for example, a Signal message which was sent at 2:15 a.m. to a specific contact, we can see that even if we can't actually see what they said.
Okay, well, following on from that, where would you say the line is between investigating a phone and invading someone's privacy?
Yeah, privacy is an important thing to bring up here. So, I mean, I should say investigators don't just simply grab someone's phone and start poking around. There are very clear permissions and legal requirements in place. So, I mean, usually we would have that explicit instruction, whether it be from legal counsel or otherwise, perhaps a warrant or explicit consent that's provided before any forensic work can begin. As I say, it goes back into that procedural element. I should also stress that we actually adopt the same policies that the police do. So for example, if we're looking at a specific case, someone wants to look at just the messages, we'll block out the photographs, we'll lock everything out. There's a responsibility here to focus exactly on what's relevant into the case and essentially not go snooping around unnecessarily. So it's a bit of a balance, I would say, leveraging those powerful tools and using what we can and our resources available, but also respecting boundaries. And understanding that this is still someone's device and they've got private aspects on there, which rightfully so we shouldn't be looking at.
Yeah. So how do you see mobile forensics evolving over the next 5 years, especially with AI and wearables coming in? Do you see this as a new opportunity, or do you see this just as a headache for investigators?
Probably a bit of both. I mean, yeah, technology is evolving at a staggering pace, isn't it? I mean, devices are getting a lot more secure, which is actually good to the lay listener. You've got stronger encryption, secure enclaves, and essentially traditional data extraction is going to change, I think. The sort of tools and the aspects that I've just discussed are certainly going to change over the years, I think. AI can be a useful tool, I think, certainly in the software that we use, because we have a lot of in-house tools available to us. It can help detect and potentially deal with data faster than a human. So I can give you an example here where, let's say you've got to trawl through thousands and thousands of photographs. Obviously, software can do this quicker. But if you're having to do this manually, you can actually get AI to do this. And what the AI would do is essentially allocate all of those files, could be explicit, sexual in nature, not safe for work, things like that, a lot quicker than if an investigator was doing this manually. So again, it's a useful tool. I mean, wearables is quite interesting because I think of everyone's smartwatch. Everyone's got the Fitbits, the smartwatch, the fitness trackers, and even smart home devices now hold crucial data. We've all heard the stories about the Alexas and the Siris of this world. I mean, it's going to have data on it that might even be more reliable than your phone that you hold. So as we sort of transition into having more of these technologies, I think it's something people need to think carefully about in terms of what data we hand over to these companies and organisations and what data they already have, because once you've handed it over, it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to get it back.
Yeah. So I just have one last question for you. So if you could tell the public one thing about their digital footprint, what would it be?
That's a good point. I mean, what I would say is your phone, your smart device, whatever it may be, is kind of like a diary, but one you can't fully erase. Even if you try and delete these messages and clear your histories, uninstall applications, fragments of your activity often remain in this allocated space or backups that we've sort of talked about. Everything does leave a footprint: photos, GPS locations, social media, even the apps you may not even have open. So a lot of times your habits and routines are going to be there, so really do have a think about it. But I would say the main takeaway isn't necessarily about fear, it's about this awareness. Treat your phone like a private space. In a forensic sense, we can obviously get all of this data, so completely removing it might be impossible, but having this awareness about your own privacy and security when using the technology in these devices is certainly very, very important, and something we need to look much more into in the coming years, I think.
Okay, Harry, well, that all sounds interesting, but do you like being ambushed? Because actions speak louder than words, and can you have a look at that for me?
Interesting. What antique store did you get this one out of then? Must be 10 years old.
Well, I'm not handing you my phone, am I? So I brought this one with me.
Right, okay. Well, it's going to take some time to set up, so let's go head into that technical environment. And in the meantime, have a listen to this.
Hi, I'm Ellie Merton from Guildford Shakespeare Company. Come and listen to me talk all things GSC and murder mystery. We've performed in stately homes, in castles, and even on a Boeing 747. Listen in on Detective Diaries.
Okay, so let's have a look here. We're just getting it all set up. I'm going to run a few software packages in tandem and get a few things going. But what are we looking for? Tell me what we're looking for.
Well, we're trying to recover an image. We don't think it was deleted, but we can't find it.
Okay, so we're thinking it's on the phone. We don't think it's been deleted. So I'll just run a few systems in there.
God, there's more screens in here than wall space.
That's all needed. Trust me, it's all needed. We've got data here, data there, data everywhere. Right. Let's just do a couple of things here. So we've got to get it into developer mode. So Android software, there's a couple of ways to do this, but essentially it's going into the settings of the phone, so we'll do that. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to get a clone copy of the phone. This might take a little bit of time, but essentially if we break something, we're breaking the clone, we're not breaking the physical device, so we don't sort of render it useless. I can also see here it hasn't actually been powered up in 3 years, which is positive and a negative. So might help us, might hinder us. So let's just have a look a bit more here. I'll tell you what, can you click on that for me?
Yeah. Oh, that's the image. That's it.
There we go. There we go. So didn't take too long there with images, but as you can see, there's a few pathways opened up here. We're kind of really into the back end of the phone. It's not just something that came up within 5 seconds, had to sort of get under the hood here.
Oh, well, I didn't expect you to get to the image quite quickly, but I suppose it's how you work, isn't it? What else could you find?
So yeah, I mean, with the timeline of this particular phone, there's obviously quite a lot of data which is quite old. So we could potentially drop things like, I don't know, downloads or particular content which has been accessed on this phone. History would be interesting as well, I suppose, you know, what websites have been visited, favorited, and what downloads have come from those sites as well. So all manner of things, really.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what's on there.
It's another life, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Having the afternoon with Harry, I've come to quickly learn that nothing is safe on a mobile device. Even when ambushing him with a 10-year-old phone, he was able to obtain images that weren't previously seen. From watching him, the same applies to new smartphones, and I'm certainly not letting him have my new iPhone 17. So it's not just messages and call logs, it's also predictive text and its application history that can tell a story. What else is interesting were his thoughts on wearable technology and these fitness trackers, which all seem to have a digital footprint nowadays. So every trace really does tell a story. Thank you, Harry, for joining us, and thank you for listening to Detective Diaries. Join us next time.
We hope you enjoyed today's podcast, brought to you by Answers Investigation and UK Fingerprint. If you've enjoyed our conversation and want to learn more about the fascinating world of investigations, be sure to check out Private Detectives Answers Investigation. Their experienced team offers a wide range of discreet and professional services, helping you find the answers you need with integrity and expertise. If you're interested in fingerprint analysis or require specialist fingerprint services, don't miss UK Fingerprint. As one of the leading fingerprint companies in the UK, they provide everything from identification to background checks, working with individuals, businesses, financial institutions, and gambling companies. To find out more, visit www.private-detectives.co.uk, that's a minus sign, and www.ukfingerprint.co.uk. These are your go-to resources for investigative solutions and fingerprint expertise. You can call their office on 020 7158 0332. Thanks once again for tuning in. Until next time, stay curious and keep seeking the truth.